Hey everybody, Brendan here from Team Top Cut. I just wanted to quickly discuss the newly announced slash leaked time rules that Konami has for us going forward. Let me get those pulled up real quick. Well, first let me actually hop on over to the announcement that they just made recently, about 20 hours ago. Basically saying that the revised end of match procedures are meant to be for the WCS only, so the World Championship Series only. And that there are no changes to the round time or end of match procedures for this weekend's OTS Championship or regional qualifiers. Now, they did follow that up by saying that we are looking to apply these changes to all events in the future at a later date after the World Championship. Please note, details have not been finalized. So basically what they're saying is that they will be applying these changes to the World Championship qualifier, and then based on that, they're going to sort of see how everything goes, see if any rules feel particularly poorly written, and then make changes thereafter. So they are priming us. They are basically saying like, hey, these changes will be occurring. This is what we're going to be doing with the time rules going forward. And so that warrants discussion. That warrants us taking a look and having a talk about it. So these are the new changes. So first off, they've been changed to 50-minute rounds rather than 45 minutes. And then if the match does not finish within 50 minutes, the result will be a double loss. So the double loss part, I've seen a lot of people getting confused about. The big thing there is that when they say double loss, they do mean a match loss. And we can actually pull from previous, what is it called? Previous rules in the rule book. Previous, I don't want to say what it would be, literature? Sure. This is basically a previous example of double loss being used to refer to a match loss rather than a game loss. When game losses are assigned, even if it's assigned to two players, that wouldn't be considered a double loss. That would be a double game loss or a game loss to both players. So they would use game loss to describe that. When they say double loss, they mean match. A match is considered a double loss. So just wanted to let that be shown, right? I guess I can zoom in on that. There we go. This is the standard. So it will be a double match loss to both players if the round is not finished within 15 minutes, right? So when time ends in the round, the match is over. No more, obviously the match is over when time ends in the round, but what they're saying is that neither duelist may begin or continue any action that may take place in the game. So no more playing out the round, no more playing out the phase, no more 0, 1, 2, 3 turns, right? If time expires and the match is not finished, it will be a double loss. So both players will lose the match if after 50 minutes if after 50 minutes the time is still running, the match is not completed yet. A match is considered finished when one of the duelists has either won 2 duels or lost 2 duels. This is pretty standard, right? Obviously 2 wins or 2 losses equals a match loss. This is also the part that has people a little bit confused, right? Because when they're reading this and they see the double loss, what they're thinking is, oh, both players get assigned a loss. That means now that, after game 1, we've hit, or game 2, where both players have 1 loss, what ends up happening is it would be a game loss goes to both players. So now both players get a game loss and now both players get a match loss. Or if you're up 1 game and your opponent, it's like game 2, both players get a game loss. Oh, hey, I only have one game loss. I still win. Nope, it is full match. If the duelists have completed 3 duels without the match finishing, and there's time remaining in the round, the duels will go into a 4th duel. What this means is, in the very fringe case that there were to be a draw in game, the match is no longer a draw. So let's say Cubic Crimson Nova uses its effect to burn both players for 3,000 damage at the same time, resulting in a draw on that game. That would then create a 4th duel. The reason why they're doing this is because I think Konami is attempting to eliminate draws from the circumstances behind Yu-Gi-Oh! So there's a lot of instances where if you're playing at a higher competitive level, you'll start to see people doing something called an ID, an intentional draw, where they will make an agreement to intentionally draw the match because it's better for both players' standings to leave with a draw than it would be for either of them to risk getting a loss. This is something that, oftentimes you'll see at Nationals or the NIWCQ in our instance, right? Or WCQs, regionals, YCSs, really any level of Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of the time you'll just see 2 players agree to draw the match for the sake of standings. Now, this is something that has routinely upset players because it's like, well, what's the point of me playing it out at X2-1 if, the X1s and the X2s are all going to just ID, and so now I get bumped out of consideration for Top Cut because so many people ahead of me just decided to ID, and now records get all weird and wonky. I think removing the option to ID is a good thing for you. I think Konami moving away from draws it's healthy. It's really the best way to handle it, because otherwise you just have judges like policing, constantly walking around listening for whether an ID is occurring and collusion is occurring. And it's one of those things where it's like, you could get DQ'd from an event because you chose to ID with your opponent. And, this removes that as an option. Next up would be if a duelist has won one duel and the match is not concluded after 50 minutes, both duelists will receive a double loss. So even if I've won a duel and the 50-minute mark crosses, it doesn't matter. We both lost. This is what's contentious to people. This is the really big issue with everybody. It's like, oh, I won a game. Why should I get a loss? The idea behind it is that it's very hard to do time rules successfully without some sort of degenerate behavior being the downfall of the match, right? So slow play was previously, in the current existing time rules before these changes, slow play was the biggest issue. Players slowing down to force a draw out or to steal a win from somebody because they're up in life points, and now they're slowing down, and that's a concern, right? This is no longer the problem under these new rules. Slow play is no longer weaponized for a positive outcome. And I think that's what Konami's trying to do, is like, yes, you can hold your opponent hostage in the sense that, oh, I'm going to lose? Well, I'm going to drag you down with me. What a horrible idea. If you lose, you want your opponent to win because it's better for your standings, because it gives you a higher chance to top the event overall if you have tiebreakers that involve your opponent's winning, right? That's why every time that you every time that you lose, you tell your opponent, hey, go win out, right? Go carry me, because you want your opponent to win when you lose. And so at this point, if somebody is going to hold somebody hostage and be a toxic player and try to use the time rules to force a double loss, it's never going to be a positive outcome for the player that's doing the toxic behavior, no matter what, right? And so that's going to punish them. And yes, you might get dragged down by that too, unfortunately, but it sure is a lot better than the alternate, right? Which is, let's say I won game one and time is approaching. Now I'm incentivized to slow play because, oh, there's 3 minutes left in the round and it doesn't matter who's up in life points. The match, just both players get a double game loss, right? I already have one game win. I'll be fine. I'll win the match. I'm now incentivized to act like a douchebag. I'm incentivized to play toxic, to play scummy. Like, it's one of those things where it makes the most sense the way that they've done it, because it's the only outcome where negative behavior leads to zero positive results for the person doing the negative behavior, which makes sense to me, right? And that's kind of what makes this hot button topic, right? Is like, everyone's like, oh, why should I get scammed by people that just want to take me down with them? Well, I mean, really, you should be playing faster. And I know you should be playing faster is such a big deal to say, because this is a very complicated game, and it's not particularly new player friendly to say that, because while you're learning, you're going to play slowly. And I will say that's another point of discussion. This is not new player friendly. Right? These rules, they aren't new player friendly. If you're new to the game, you're going to be adjusting, you're going to be playing slower, you're going to want to be taking your time, and you might not have the luxury of doing that as much anymore, which does suck. I think that short term, this is going to be a problem. Short term, these rules will not be good for the game. There's going to be instances of players feeling excluded or crept out of being able to participate because they're constantly being pushed to play faster, or, they don't feel like they can take their time making decisions. But ultimately, this is going to force the community to get better at the game. You're going to have to improve. If you can't play quick, you got to get better. You got to learn how to play your deck quickly. You have to know what to do with your cards that you're playing while you're playing them. This is not one of those instances where it's like, oh my God, this is the end of the world because everyone's going to be bad and play slowly and yada yada. No. If you know your deck, you know your combos, you know what to do with your cards in certain instances, you'll play quickly you can play your side of the game quickly. The decision making comes into the complex nuanced circumstances that both players are going to be facing. And so I think that this is actually an opportunity for the entire community as a whole to take a big step forward in quality of gameplay. Because now you're not incentivized to play slowly, you're incentivized to play quickly, and playing slowly actually is a detriment to not only you, but also your opponent. Nobody wins if you play slowly. So yes, that's unfair to sort of newer players, but to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, this is a good thing. And so the players that are new that want to get into competitive, you know, it might increase the learning curve, but it makes a competitive game just better overall. I think that these are good time rules. There's a couple of other points that I did want to talk about. One of which is this actually changes the way that decks and side decks get built going forward. Number one is now we don't have to worry about side decking like burn or life gain cards just to get an advantage, right? Like Blue Eyes, you don't have to play Sunny Pixie in the side deck anymore. Sprite, you don't have to play Red Resonator anymore. You know, Tier Elements doesn't have to play was it Volcanic Scatter Shot, right? You don't have to play these cards that exist to give you a time win con, which thank God for that. Wow. Save yourself the side deck spot, save yourself the worry. That's huge. The second thing is that stun strategies basically become invalid because now if you're playing stun, you're going just to ruin the tournament for other people, not to actually win. If you play stun in an event, the likelihood is that you aren't going to be winning many matches because the matches are going to take so long, they're going to be dragged out. You're not going to get any wins, really. What'll end up happening is that you're going to get a bunch of double losses and you'll ruin the tournament for some people, ha ha ha, right? But you're not going to go anywhere with it. And so you're also de-incentivized from playing stun decks, stall decks, decks whose sole purpose is to just take as much time as possible. And what makes this interesting is that this also adds cards being able to come back off the ban list. Another thing, right? FTK decks, these like super long, intricate combo FTK decks that take forever to play. Suddenly, maybe it's okay that we bring certain cards off the ban list, even though they can be played in an FTK, because that doesn't matter. If I'm going to take 30 minutes with my long, intricate FTK turn, the round is going to end by the time that we get to an opportunity for me to actually win the match. So all of a sudden, whoa, hey, wait, I can't play my 45-minute turn one combo Infernity Yubel FTK deck. What's going on? Why can't I do that? This is a good thing. This lets cards come off the ban list. This de-incentivizes stun or like super heavy combo decks that just play for forever. This forces the player base to get better. And then this de-incentivizes toxic behavior and slow playing in favor of playing faster, learning to play the game faster, playing your deck better. So, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening. This is totally possible that this just ends up being a really bad idea. And it's just not realistic for matches to be able to end within that quick of a time period. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts in the comments about the new time rules. They're certainly very contentious. And I do think that, you know, more casual or like lower level competitive players are going to feel very antagonistic towards these rules. But I mean, every single competitive player that I know feels great about these rules, like especially the top competitive players. They love these rules, and I'm inclined to agree. I think that these rules do a lot towards making Yu-Gi-Oh a healthier game overall. So all right, that's it for me. I just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts, but yeah, thank you so much.